Getting the stubborn Edric to skulk through the cultist lair with the rest of them wasn't easy at all. Dram's sudden heartfelt speech about not wanting to lose Edric most of all, as they all drowned in the rage of a few dozen cultists, seemed to catch him off guard and do the trick. Paragon, ancestor god of the dwarf war priest and his people, apparently made this one exception about being against skullduggery, as he granted Edric miracles of stealth, invisibility, and silence. With that, and Dram's own invisibility, combined with both Raleigh and Mithranar's talent for stealth, the team made it all the way through without being spotted to the end chamber, the lair's innermost sanctum, with ease. Both the halfling and Dram figured the leader of this insane cult of chaos would be in the sanctum. They would cut the head off of this foul snake and be done with it. Dram and his team stood in front of the ancient stone door, shaped as a circle and cut into 3 triangular pieces. The general symbols of chaos adorn the center of each piece: a many-pointed star, a shadowed square, and a green spiral, along with the central symbol, a stylized mask with one side sporting half an open-mouthed smile, and the other half a large frown carved in the middle of the door, where the triangular pieces met. Each eye hole in the mask appeared to hold a small keyhole. Before Dram could even ask, Raleigh already had his locksmithing implements delicately jammed into each of the keyholes. The short halfling seemed to read his leader's mind. Giving a nod to the rest of the team, Raleigh slowly turned the lock open as the others readied their weapons, still invisible, shadows still clinging to them and obscuring their forms. Dram opened his hand as the lightning began to silently crackle, showing no visible light, drawing the somatic hand sign to cast the spell, breathing it in the same energies which made himself invisible. Flicking his wrist, Mithranar drew a gleaming Mithrilium dagger from his armor vambrace, falling into his palm, grasping it blade side. Edric whispered a prayer as a crossbow seemingly made from the shadows he cloaked himself in built itself, loaded and cocked into his hand as he quickly stammered a prayer of forgiveness to his no doubt annoyed god. An infinitesimal click tore through the silence as Raleigh finally turned the double lock. The triangular pieces making the stone circular door slowly slid apart, opening wide. Raleigh immediately leapt to the ceiling, and with a quick whisper, stuck to it by his hands and feet like a small spider to a web. Daggers of magical steel flew, corals of shadow flown, and invisible lightning all shot towards the one cultist standing in the center of the room, back turned and hands outstretched toward the ceiling, seemingly in reverence. Robes, half black and half white, flowed, billowing in a non-existent breeze. In a flash, one of the cultist's arms unnaturally twisted behind him, facing his open palm towards them, as the unseen lightning nearly struck him, and instead veered toward the cultist's hand, absorbed harmlessly into the visible swirling void in its center. In the same motion, the cultist straightened his arm in a snap, sending the bolt back, colliding into the flying dagger. With enough power to instantly melt the dagger into slag, the lightning bolt continued unabated and slammed into Myth's chest, flinging him onto his back. His full attention earned, the cultist swung around with inhuman speed, catching the coral made from shadow with his frighteningly massive other hand. The sleeve which hid the shadow bolt-catching hand slid down, revealing an arm covered with faintly glowing, eerie blood-red lines, mimicking spidery veins. A simple flick of the fingers of his monstrous hand sent the shadowy coral screaming back at Edric, piercing through his shoulder. The priest of Paragon let out a stifled scream of pain as a blanket of freezing cold burned, spreading from his open wound and covering his shoulder.
Ah, wonderful.
The cultist's voice quietly boomed, seemingly in every direction around the team. Facing his void palm towards them, Dram, Myth, and Edric all slid toward him and into the sanctum, forcibly pulled slowly by his absorbing power. As the doors closed back, the cultist spat in annoyance.
Uninvited guests.
Hello there. I am the Lore Master of the Lorekeepers Library, and today we will be presenting lore on Monte Cook's Chaositech. This is part 2 of the Chaositech lore series of the Dungeons & Dragons Lore Archive. What is chaos? People may consider a chaotic individual doing random things and whatever he wanted in terms of individual freedom as chaotic. A particular creature in the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse's system of alignments, such as a cloud giant, could be considered chaotic good or chaotic evil. From a chaos cultist's point of view, chaos is deeper than a person's freedom, individualism, or simple flights of fancy. According to the Book of Faithless Hate, these ideas are not of chaos. Chaos is deeper, based on certain fundamental aspects, such as death, hatred, destruction, mayhem, disaster, slaughter, and disillusion. Things of madness could be considered the first steps to deep chaos. Most disciples of deep chaos are chaotic evil, though some may be chaotic neutral, though none are chaotic good. The fundamental tenets would not support a chaotic good follower of deep chaos. From the lessons of deep chaos, the world is considered orderly and structured, thus flawed, due to the system's penchant for punishing the few who embrace true freedom through the unyielding code of law and order. True freedom allows an individual to flip the code of societies and break its oppression and allow it to oppress and control society instead. Deep chaos allows individuals to commit to anarchy, destruction, fire, murder, and torture in order to free those so flawed, thus betrayed in their creation. This vile and utterly blasphemous affront to order and all good in the multiverse argues these individuals will be rewarded when the realm of chaos finally infects the order of the multiverse. These crazed zealots realize not they only shepherd their own destruction along with the rest of the world. When the masters of chaos, its dark lords, finally answer the heralds of their useful fools, they will commit to action the destruction of faithful, innocent, and hero alike. They will not be spared the coming destruction they so pray for and foolishly crave. Those who lead so many disillusioned and unredeemable astray, these priests of chaos, belong to a subsection of mortals considered the most malevolent ever born, seeing absolute joy in murder, destruction, in both their tools and those fools who also revel in these, in which they surround themselves. Erratic, rageful, and prone to flights of fancy, these teachings of deep chaos, and their teachers feel nothing for family, friends, king and country, nor ties to race or kin, and see their fellow fools as nothing more than a means to an end. Chaos Priests. Chaos Priests are hardly ever even similar to one another, some choosing brightness and garishness in their design, with equally garish ritual scars and displaying their cult symbols openly, or dark, brooding, and hidden in both deed and identity. Most are commonly mad to some degree, compulsive, and irrational. Others may be sinful in their gluttony, and many are positively addicted to many a different substance indeed. Their fell religion is obviously highly disorganized, in a perpetual state of disarray, establishing themselves in secret ruins or hidden layers. Chaos cultists, the chaos priest's utterly repulsive and sorrowful flock, stem from all walks of life, from the lowliest gutter rat to the highest echelons of nobility. They generally hide among the innocent. Most cultists hold maddening, irrational contradictions. Many operate in secret, but a captured cultist may enthusiastically brag about the hero's coming destruction. Cults generally hold stock in symbols and signs, each separate cult holding its own unique symbol, as well as the general symbols of chaos: the many-pointed arrow, the shattered square, and the green spiral. These symbols, hidden from the ignorant, fill the cultists with pride in that they can hide them right under the noses of true authority and law-abiding citizenry, feeling themselves superior to the uninitiated. Cultists can hardly ever actually work together without a charismatic and smart leader, building elaborate schemes which may play to each of their cult members' strengths, departmentalizing their highly important pieces to their plan. They fight like madmen with nothing to lose, but may rout if they feel their side is losing the fight. Those who choose to stay, however, will fight as if they've really nothing to lose, fighting dishonorably, using poison, and giving a quick shiv between the enemy's ribs before they even know they're dead. The degenerate creatures gleefully take prisoners for their sick and twisted pleasure and torture, sacrificing to the dark gods and ineffable dark experimentation. They love to use various creatures, beasts, and monsters, and their plots as allies, assistants, guards, and warriors. The cults of chaos. The cults of chaos are not one entity. They are many, competing against, working with, trading, and completely devouring each other. The cults of chaos forever morph and change. We give a few examples here. The Ebon Hand. The Ebon Hand's focus of worship is physical deformity and mutation. Many of its members are either naturally deformed or mutated and are often abducted from adolescence. Many are forcibly mutated or deformed. Many die from this process, and some who survive are turned into slaves. The Ebon Hand is considered the most insidious by many due to its resilience against being destroyed. Their chapels are well hidden, and when eventually discovered, scatter like roaches, then set up shop somewhere else, as it were. They possess no uniform or garb, save wearing their symbol somewhere upon them, a black hand, and of course possess a deformity, such as a withered arm or leg, or mutation, such as cartoonishly bulbous musculature or a third eye. The Tolling Bell. The Tolling Bell simply seek to toll the bell for the world, shepherding its end. Acceptance of this cult of chaos is rare indeed, for many hold great power, prestige, or capability. As such, many other chaos cultists see entry into this cult as a graduation, proving that they have connections and power to hold the inner mysteries this cult is said to possess. Each tolling bell cultist sports tattered blue robes and carries a handbell. Their symbol is a cracked bell. In their mad quest to end the world, their members research spells and rituals of cascading, calamitous, catastrophic power. They ultimately revere the Lords of Chaos, known to many as the Chaositech, and their plan to bring the world to ruin. The Crimson Coil. Dressed in blood-red hooded robes, covered in symbols of chaos, and hide their faces, the Crimson Coil cloister themselves in ruined temples, often built for symbolic purposes, and will gather en masse to mete out some calamity upon an unsuspecting soul. They meet in numbers featuring hundreds, just to burn down a single house, slaughter a family, or even a single person walking down a thoroughfare. Cities may gather militias to attempt to root them out, often resulting in failure. When the Crimson Coil does get successfully attacked, they will often fight to the last in their trap-filled temples with nothing to lose. They often will rebuild their numbers stronger than ever before. The Plagueborn. As in their name, the Plagueborn seek to spread disease, pestilence, and with them, death. They encourage their members to acquire rot, filth, and decay, and even harbor plagues within themselves, using magic spells such as Deadly Carrier. They hold their temples in places where filth accumulates, like trash heaps and sewers. Their symbol is the rat, and wear things associated with, such as dire rat skins. The Plagueborn help facilitate the spread of disease by contaminating wells, marketplaces, and even steal the bed linen of the infirm and place it in beds used by the healthy. They may also send vermin into cities to spread plague. Unlike most cults of chaos, the Plagueborn do not actually wear their unique symbol, only things associated with their unique symbol. The Death Mantle. Reverers of death, the Death Mantle wears skull masks of bronze or iron. The primary delivery of death is in fact slaughter and mass murder, with their goal being much of the same to a city, nation, or even entire race of beings. They are closely related to a religious assassins guild named the Vi, with each elite member must kill every day to find true enlightenment in taking lives. Associated with undead, many are necromancers, frequenting graveyards and cemeteries, establishing temples and mausoleums and crypts. The Order of the Blooded Knife. A most surreptitious cult, the Order of the Blooded Knife brings about calamity through bloody sacrifice and through clandestinely posing as other religions. They may choose either a vague, somewhat distasteful name for their false religion with enough repulsiveness to exist unaccosted. Alternatively, they may pose as an already existing faith, posing as worshippers of it, tricking actual followers of the more accepted religion which they're pretending to be, to join theirs. They often force these ignorant once worshippers of legitimate gods into maddening rites of passage, transforming them into worshippers of chaos. Along with using extortion, blackmail, persuasion, and trickery, the Order of the Blooded Knife will slowly consume a religion they're posing as from the inside out. Their symbol is a bloody knife, which they carry along with the symbol of the religion which they are mimicking. The Brothers of Venom. With a taste for murder, like their Death Mantle brothers, the Brothers of Venom prefer to kill their victims slowly and subtly. With careful patience, they sow their disillusion, disintegration, and social erosion clandestinely, completely under the noses of civilization and authority. Operating on no more than 6 members per operating cell, the Brothers of Venom make it a habit to murder individuals with influence over the law and order in any given society. They also take great pleasure in unholy ceremonies, drug abuse, perverse sex acts, and acts of gross violence. Their symbol is a coiled serpent, wreathed in shadow. No doubt all these, and more than likely every cult of chaos, reveres the Book of Faithless Hate, a cobbled-together book of documents, letters, and notes, written by many different hands, brought into one short tome. This madness of a collection of empty rhetoric, myths, suppositions, and bad logic was even corrected by another at one point in time. It describes chaos not as a simple taste in personal freedom in individuality, but of something more fundamentally deeper. The priests of chaos all teach this deep chaos in their own unique ways, gathering the rejected, dejected, disillusioned, and spiteful of society from all walks of life into chaos cults of varying degrees of power, influence, and overall effectiveness. All chaos cults desire one thing: to bring about the night of disillusion, a time of panic, fear, and chaos, leading to the actual summoning of their dark gods, the Lords of Chaos, and with it, the eschaton, the end of the world.